Bart was finally dragged into court for all his bad behavior. The book in the judge's hands was just the table of contents of his crimes. The actual records filled 3 massive boxes. This time, the prank that pushed everyone over the edge was Bart's fake wedding. He sent invitations to all the neighbors. Everyone showed up on time and left their wedding gifts on a table outside. But Bart trapped everyone inside the tent, grabbed all the presents and sneaked away. Meanwhile, the dressed-up guests waited around. When nothing happened, they suddenly realized the exit was completely sealed. One old guy started panting, shouting, "Hey, stop stealing my air." Willie couldn't stand this selfish behavior. "I'm gonna suck the air right out of your lungs." Everyone started panicking, breathing heavily. They gasped for air so hard that the tent started inflating and deflating. Eventually, they ran out of oxygen, and all the neighbors passed out. Just as Bart was heading to the store to return the gifts for cash, the chief saw right through his little trick and caught him red-handed. Bart tried to bribe the chief with a gift, but the chief said, "No way, I only take cash bribes." Absolutely unbelievable. The judge held up a stack of files. "This is just the index of Bart's crimes. The actual files fill 3 whole boxes. To keep Springfield safe, the judge sentenced Bart to juvenile detention. For a few months, Bart begged for mercy, asking if he could make a deal. "I want to report my dad. I know all the bad stuff he's done." The chief said, "Too late, kid. We already have an informant watching your dad. We don't need your help." Homer thought to himself, "Wait, there's a rat in my crew." Realizing he was wearing a wire, Homer angrily ripped off his microphone and stormed out of the courtroom. Bart was hauled off to juvie, handed over his stuff, and began his miserable lockup. Most of his time was spent doing vocational training. They taught the kids how to make street food, just so they'd have a way to make a living once they got out. During their free time, they actually got to watch cartoons. But there was a catch. It was the heavily censored version. With all the violence cut out, a 2.5-hour movie was reduced to 10 seconds. What a joke. Outside, Bart was a total menace, but in here, he had to behave. There were way tougher bullies waiting around every corner. He was basically just a punching bag. After getting beat up on the slide, he even had to buy photos of the beatdown. At least they didn't just rob him outright. Desperate to escape the bullies, Bart hung out by the fence of the girls' juvie. He figured it would be safer there, but the toughest girl there quickly taught him a lesson. She yelled, "How dare you underestimate us girls? We can fight just as hard." Later, when his family came to visit, Bart was crying. He sobbed, "Life here is so full. The guys beat me up, and then the girls beat me up." Seeing his boy get pushed around made Homer feel terrible. He figured he had to take matters into his own hands, so he applied to be a guard at the juvie center. The warden asked why he wanted the job. Homer replied, "Children are our future, so I need to crush the bad ones." The warden immediately handed him a nightstick and said, "You start tomorrow." The next day, just as Bart was getting his daily beatdown, Homer suddenly showed up. He scared off the bullies and handed Bart a lollipop. He shouted, "This is my son. As long as I'm around, nobody touches him." The bullies backed off, completely terrified. But unfortunately, once Homer finished his shift, they came back and beat Bart twice as hard. Meanwhile, at the center, they set up a boy-girl dance. They claimed interacting with the opposite sex would calm everyone down. Bart knew exactly what that meant. Getting beaten up by both boys and girls, they were paired up and handcuffed together to really build that connection. The tough girl had her own unique dance moves, immediately kicking things off with a wild sweep. Bart was dragged across the floor, totally at her mercy. But then she had an even crazier idea. She swung from the chandelier, leaped onto the roof, and escaped through an open window. Bart yelled, "I only have 2 weeks left on my sentence. Why am I breaking out with you?" The tough girl convinced him with a little force. They hopped the fence and scrambled straight into the woods. She looked at him and said, "If we get caught, I'm telling them this was your idea." Under the bright stars, the 2 fugitives lay in the tall grass. The weather was just perfect. Not too hot, not too cold. The vibe was just right for a little playful banter. The very next day, they finally tracked down a local blacksmith. All sorts of handcuffed runaways were lined up outside. The blacksmith was swinging his hammer, making sure every customer got the keys and tools they needed. This was the ultimate safe haven for Springfield's wanted fugitives. After the cuffs were broken, the newly newly freed tough girl got a little too friendly. Bart started pushing his luck, saying, "Hey, after we split up, can I come hang out at your place?" Bart couldn't figure out her mixed signals. Was she playing hard to get, or was this just a weird way of showing affection? Bart followed her only to find her crying on the sidewalk. "Why aren't you going home?" Just hearing the word home made her sob even harder. She told Bart that she didn't have a family anymore. Suddenly, the two of them started randomly wrestling in the dirt, and right on cue, the chief swooped in and easily arrested the two runaways. Bart's family rushed over to check on him. Homer said, "Getting caught is no big deal, son. Next time, just try not to get taken alive." With this, Bart's juvie sentence was about to be extended, but from a distance, the tough girl saw how much Bart's family loved him. Feeling guilty, she told the police the truth. "I kidnapped him. I forced him to run away. He didn't even want to leave. He kept telling me to go back." Considering Bart's good behavior, the chief let him go straight home, taking only the girl back to juvie. A few days later, the warden brought the girl to meet her new roommate, but to her complete surprise, it was a situation she never expected. Bart had brought his whole family to visit her. That warm, home-cooked dinner finally helped fill the emptiness in her heart. The warden saw how happy they were and got a bit emotional. "I guess I'll just head back to my bachelor pad, eat a sandwich, and cry myself to sleep." Marge totally understood. She smiled and asked, "Why don't you join us for dinner? You know, kids in juvie are actually pretty smart." That tough girl was way sharper than most kids, but sadly, she grew up without a home. A messy childhood creates so many massive hurdles. No education, no attention, and a terrible environment. Any of these things can strike just when you finally get a chance to succeed, making it impossible to move forward. A lot of parents love saying, "My kid is smart, they just don't apply themselves." And they often say it with a little bit of pride. The truth is, the world is full of talented people, but most of them are dragged down by their own flaws. These flaws are the scars left by the environments we grow up in. The ability to conquer those flaws and actually use your talents is a quality that is much rarer than talent itself.